In the tangled web of Norse mythology, gods and giants often blur together in enigmatic tales of fire, chaos, and fate. Among these powerful figures stands Farbauti, a little-known but deeply significant jötunn giant, whose legacy lies not in deeds of his own, but in the world-altering influence of his infamous offspring, Loki, the god of mischief and transformation. Though Farbauti's name rarely appears in the major Eddic texts, the symbolic power behind it reveals profound themes of destruction, transformation, and cosmic tension that lie at the heart of Norse cosmology. Farbauti's name, when translated from Old Norse, roughly means cruel striker or dangerous hitter, often interpreted as angry striker or fierce blow. This evocative name suggests an elemental force, most likely fire or lightning. Norse scholars and mythologists have speculated that Farbauti may have been a personification of wildfire or a violent storm, and his role as Loki's father is far from arbitrary. Loki, the shape-shifting trickster god whose actions eventually lead to Ragnarok, the end of the world, is the product of chaos born from chaos. Farbauti is said to have taken Laufey, also known as Nal, as his consort. Laufey's name is sometimes translated as leafy island or needle, often linked with dry tinder or fragile plant matter. The union of Farbauti and Laufey, fire and kindling, gives symbolic birth to Loki, the flame of chaos that dances between gods and giants. This poetic imagery isn't coincidental. In mythic thought, especially Norse myth, such unions often represent not romantic pairings but metaphysical catalysts. Farbauti and Laufey's marriage may well be an allegory for the spark that ignites change, sometimes beautiful, often catastrophic. Despite the minimal direct lore surrounding Farbauti, his existence reflects the rich layers of meaning within Norse tradition. The Jötnar, or giants, were not simply brutish adversaries to the gods. They were primordial beings tied to the forces of nature: ice, fire, water, wind. They existed before the gods and will outlast them after Ragnarok. Farbauti, as a jötunn, fits this mold. He is not evil, but a necessary part of a mythological ecosystem that values balance and inevitable conflict. Loki's own dual nature as both a companion of the Aesir and ultimately their undoer echoes this delicate line between chaos and order, a line that Farbauti himself represents by siring him. Though not as well known as other Norse figures, Farbauti's mythological fingerprint can be found in multiple interpretations of Loki's nature and in the broader metaphorical reading of fire in myth. In fire myths across cultures, fire is often seen as a gift, like Prometheus in Greek mythology, but also as a threat. It warms, it feeds, but it consumes. Farbauti, as a symbolic origin of fire, connects Norse myth to this global understanding of the element's dual nature. It's this duality that makes Loki such a compelling and complex figure, and Farbauti, by extension, a kind of silent architect of fate. What makes Farbauti even more fascinating is how his story has survived in such fragmented form. Unlike Odin or Thor, whose deeds fill volumes of sagas and poetic epics, Farbauti is a footnote, a whispered name in the genealogy of a god. Yet from this whisper comes thunder. It shows the Norse mythmakers' ability to embed rich symbolic meaning in even the smallest characters. Through this lens, Farbauti is not just a name, but a symbol of inevitable transformation. He is the flash before the flame, the strike that sets the world ablaze. In modern retellings of Norse mythology, particularly in comic books, films, and TV shows, Loki is often center stage, reimagined as a misunderstood anti-hero or manipulative villain. But understanding his roots, and by extension the myth of Farbauti, offers a deeper look into the ancient mindset. Loki is not random. He is born of violent forces, the offspring of the wild and the fragile. He is a necessary chaos. Farbauti's presence, though brief, is like a fault line beneath the world of the gods, a reminder that every age ends, and every fire starts with a strike. By contemplating Farbauti's symbolic significance, we are reminded that Norse mythology was never a simple tale of good versus evil. It was a worldview shaped by harsh winters, fickle weather, and the ever-present threat of death. Giants like Farbauti embody these fears and forces, not to be defeated outright, but to be respected, understood, and balanced. In the end, Farbauti's myth may be small, but his legacy is vast, etched into the fiery heart of Loki, and ultimately into the destiny of the cosmos itself.